No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open. Oh, this door.
In case you didn't get the message, this door is open for you. Yeah, for each and every one of you. And if you would turn and acknowledge those that are in the back and those that they're supporting as they join us virtually, we give a special shout out to Blessing, who joins us from Cameroon and Africa, and so many others that tune in. Each and every one of you, this virtual door and this physical door is open for you. Let us begin our time together in prayer. As we turn our awareness within for just a moment, we just pause. There's just so much that enters into our cells, into our thoughts, into our very being. We absorb so many things that sometimes when we sit down, we don't even really realize where we are. And so today, I invite you to just allow yourself to fully arrive. To just take that breath and gather your own self. And just let go of whatever has hold of you, whatever you may be chewing on mentally, whatever thoughts you have about the Super Bowl or the soup that maybe you forgot to bring today, or whatever may have you preoccupied. We just dedicate this time to sanctuary, because sanctuary is a place of safety. It's a place that's set apart. It's a place for respite and renewal. And so we enter into this time of sanctuary that we may be rejuvenated, inspired, more settled into our own being, that we may feel the presence of love and peace and healing that is a blessing. And in return, we may realize that we too are a blessing. And so for this sacred time to create together, to be in safe sanctuary, we are truly grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. All right, if you're able, everybody get up on your feet. We're going to sing a little bit.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded who we've come to be. We are love, one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet.
Yeah, everybody. Take this opportunity to turn and to extend a namaste acknowledgement, a welcome to those that are around you. For those that are wearing masks, we are very mindful and respectful, and just give that distant namaste, which is still a heart connection. To those of you that are joining us virtually, we want to say hello. So many of you we've come to know. We appreciate your joining in with us, and we truly welcome you, and we feel your presence being here. We want to thank you. All right, we sang this song last week, so here we go again.
I'm pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining each and every day, still praying as I walk more ground. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
Sing it out.
Lord, lift me up and let me stand. My faith on heaven's stable land, on a higher plane than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Oh, somewhere where these abound, I pray my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand. My faith on heaven's stable land, I am than I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground.
Give it up for that unity band. They're so awesome.
Lord, lift me up and let me stand. My faith on heaven's unstable land, a higher plane that I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Last line. Lord, plant my feet on higher
States of consciousness, ground. You sound beautiful. Thank you so much. You may be seated. I want to acknowledge this amazing band. Jason DeCristofaro has just stepped in and does really a masterful job. And our very own Dave De La Rosa and Joel Pressman, who have been here for so many years. And today, both of our percussionists are out, but have no fear. We are truly blessed to have with us Malik Pratt on drums. Thank you so much, Malik, for doing a beautiful job. Thank you.
Good morning. So good to see you all. Now it's time for our children to go to their classes. So children, if you will move over to the side of the wall. And I'd like to take a moment to invite you to turn your phone off or put it on silence if you haven't already done so. So let's get ready for that blessing for our children. The snacks. No more snacks need to be brought because we're so very generous they have more than enough. For now, we'll keep you posted. So now let's get ready for that blessing. Children and teachers, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the divinity in you. Have a great day, children. Thank you. And now I'd like to acknowledge our newcomers. If this is the first time you've been here, if you're willing, please raise your hand, and one of our ushers will give you some paperwork, and you can fill it out or not. There is a heart. No one's paying attention to me because we're worried about the children. I love that about us. Bye, babies. Everybody good? All right, good. So if you are a new person, if you would raise your hand, or someone who knows that you're here for the first time may point you out. There is a little red heart sticker. I invite you to wear that, please, up here, so that we'll know to give you a special greeting. Thank you for that. We have a few announcements. We love you. We bless you. Would you hand me my black book right there?
We appreciate
you. And we behold the divinity in you. And we bless Beth because she forgot to pick up her book. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you. So if you would please join us today back in the community room or all-purpose room for our Hospitality Sunday for coffee, tea, and hospitality. Also, our annual meeting is on February 23rd at noon. Please attend. You'll learn about all kinds of things going on in our church. And we have our affinity groups that have begun, and you can sign up in the Welcome Center. And now, Bobby, would you come?
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with an affinity groups, they're groups around things like Qigong. If you enjoy Qigong, you can gather with a group of people. There's a group that want to go out to restaurants together. So there's different things. It's people who have similar interests can gather around those things, and that information is in the bookstore. So today is Second Sunday. How many of you know what happens second Sunday right after the service? Treats, snacks. Somebody very loudly said coffee. We have Hospitality Sunday. And we do that, and it is in honor typically of one of our volunteer teams. But today we wanted to honor someone very special. Reverend Marty Stimmerman, would you please come up and just stand up with us here?
Yes.
Reverend Marty. Thank you. You may be seated so you can see her and see what's going on. But when I graduated from seminary as a Unity minister in 2004, I was guided very clearly to go to a ministry in Lawrence, Kansas. That's when I first met Marty Stimmerman, because she was the church office administrator. And she was one of my greatest teachers because, you know, if you've ever graduated from a graduate program and then you just think you're ready, and then you go to the real job and wonder why they didn't put all that stuff on the curriculum. And I was so blessed to have Marty, who just held my hand, taught me so much, and we had a wonderful time in ministry together there for about 3 years. And then fast forward, I guess, Marty, about close to 20 years. And 2019 rolls around. And in 2019, our church was just bursting at the seams, 2 services. We needed a director of operations, and we looked locally. We weren't finding anybody, so I thought, I think I'm going to reach back and call somebody that I used to know. Well, since that time, her 2 sons had relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina. So when she got the call, she said, I think I'll come. She did, and I was excited, and she was excited, and she pulled up, and 2020 rolled around, and we closed the church. She never met anybody. Well, along that time, our bookkeeper stepped away, and so Marty rolled into a different role of financial administrator, facility administrator. Quite frankly, since 2020 until today, she has been the heart of doing whatever we needed to do. She's very quiet in her office. She's such a kind, loving spirit. She grew up in church, and her daddy was a minister, and she has her own Native American spirituality path, and I know her just to be a very dedicated person. Well, she recently came to me and said, it's time for me to step away, and so she's going to be stepping away. She's very graciously given us whatever time we need, right? Whatever time we as God is, whatever time we need to find someone. She's been very gracious in helping with this. And so, Marty, we wanted to acknowledge you today. And this hospitality today, we're going to love you and celebrate you. And we kick it off with some beautiful flowers from our amazing board president, Bobby Flowers Owenby. And so you know that saying that it's a blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. To Reverend Marty, we love you. We bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. And I'm sure we'll still be seeing her around some. Would you give her a hand of appreciation, Marta? Thank you so much.
Now Bobby will read our inspirational reading.
Hi, everyone. As you know, I'm Bobby Flowers Owenby, and I'm the board president here today. I am doing the inspirational reading, so here we go. There is one divine presence expressed through many names: God, Source, Spirit, and countless others. Yet names, by their very nature, are limiting. That which we call God cannot be confined to any one form, any one face, or any one label. God, all that is beyond any definitions and images. It is a boundless presence and love that creates flow through and unites all creations within one spirit. The scriptures say, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Beyond labels, there is love. There is God. Shall we meet there? Thank you.
And now, Mary Kay Williams.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, oh, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember if we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Oh, call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, it's your sign, it's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love, you and me. One power, oh, one power, one it's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power. One power. One power.
Wow. Mary Kay and this band, and they'll all be back soon, but would you show them some love? Yeah. You can head down, band. Thank you. One Power. That song is written by Daniel Nahmod, but every single word in that song is so power. I love that phrase that says, our differences are only dangerous when we forget that in our heart we're all the same. That's a message that our world needs today, I'd say, wouldn't you? Yeah. Last week we began a series titled F.L.O.W, Upstream. And each one builds on the other, and I think you'll see by the end that it is really creating something. So if you didn't have the opportunity to be here last week, thanks to our team in the back, give them a hand, by the way. They do such a great job in the back. I want to thank them. You can either see the whole service online or just the message. But we talked about F.L.O.W as an acronym, and last week, what is the flow of consciousness that we're in? That's the F, and today we want to talk about the L. Anybody want to guess what that stands for? Love. And isn't it interesting how it fell on Valentine's week? I walked into a grocery store yesterday, and the floral department is just as I walked in, and I'm like, whoa, love is in the air. Literally, all the balloons were up with hearts all over them, and flowers and roses and chocolate candy. And it's like Valentine's. Love is in the air. How many of you are like, oh, Valentine's? Okay, that kind of speaks for itself. Whatever. So I have a challenge for us. What if we take this week, starting today, from when you leave today until this time next Sunday, what if we do something in addition to whatever you have planned for Valentine's? And so now if you didn't think you have plans, guess what? You have plans, if you will participate. What if this week we would set the intention for radical compassion and radical dignity? What if we set the intention to practice radical compassion and radical dignity? Now, you can do pretty much anything for 7 days, right? How many of you would be willing to hear me out? And we're going to talk about what love is, what often trips us up around love, perhaps what it's not, and how we can engage it from many different movements of love. But how many of you would seriously be willing to practice radical compassion and radical dignity, which is born of respect, for 1 week? Now, you know somebody that saw you raise your hand is taking notes, especially if they live with you. Radical compassion, radical dignity. A number of years ago, I was in a workshop, and I encountered a woman from Germany, and we became friends. Her English is pretty good. We were able to communicate. She has since moved to Austria, and we stay in touch via Facebook Messenger. And she reached out recently and sent me a message that said, "How are you? Things in your country look topsy-turvy." And I laughed too, because the translation sometime, my friend Pinky that we've been helping, who speaks Spanish, she types me messages sometimes and she uses Google Translate. And she sent me one the other day that said, I'm sending you a back-breaking hug. I'm like, I don't need a back. As it turns out, that's pretty much when we say I'm giving you a bear hug, And so sometimes you don't know exactly. And so I thought, when she said, how are you? Things in your country look topsy-turvy. And I wonder what she means. And so I looked up topsy-turvy. And as it turns out, Topsy-turvy, in a state of being confused, not well organized, giving importance to the unexpected, giving importance to less desirable things. I think she nailed it. Topsy-turvy. I know many people that are just overwhelmed with what's going on in our nation, and we're reaching a point, if we don't talk about this a little bit, I believe we're doing a disservice. Because we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the elephant in the nation, and there's a way to talk about it that can help us. And so give me just a couple of minutes here. It's very clear that approximately half of our country, just in general, kind of wants to go one way, and the other half wants to go a different way, and that within itself creates a lot of tension. It also is appearing that our very Constitution is on life support at the very moment, and that's scary. And so, every day, most recently, when you wake up, you never know, was it a plane crash? Is it another this or another that? What in the world did I wake up to today? Can you relate? And so most people are finding ourselves in one of three responses, and quite frankly, a lot of us vacillate. The first one is just flat out overwhelm and confusion. It's just like trying to sort out the smoke and mirrors from the serious situation, and there's so much coming, and it's overwhelming that you just kind of get stuck in the overwhelm. That leads perhaps to another response. I know a number of people that have told me, I just can't anymore. I'm just pulling away, I'm checking out, I'm hibernating in my little bubble, and I'm praying and hoping we make it through. Sometimes you have to do that for periods of time. And then there's still others that are saying, I am doing my best to be informed, to understand, to pay attention, and to somehow find something creative to do. Can you recognize with those three states, and maybe you fall in one more than the other? And what I've come to understand is if you really talk to most of those people, most everyone, if you could communicate in a way that would work for them in communicating, you would realize probably you have something in common with most, and that is most people want to be safe. Most people want a world that is more compassionate. Most people do want a world that is more just and more loving and more peaceful. And so I truly believe that, and I know that to be true for me. Now, I'm not saying everybody, because we do realize there are differences. So in the midst of all of this, I'm inviting us to find a way to what I'm calling flow upstream, rather than getting caught up in the currents of drama or overwhelm or what can I fix, that we need to take time to find out, where am I centering my self-awareness, my consciousness? How am I going to flow upstream in a way that serves my soul and my spirit, and hopefully serves the greater good, because they're one and the same. And so in order to do this, I've looked at love. It is true, what the world needs now is what? Love, sweet love. But we say, some people will give their beloved partner a ring or a gift or chocolate, I love you. To your husband, wife, spouse, partner, I love you. You'll say, I love you to your child or grandchildren. If you have a fur angel, a baby like me with 4 legs, you sure love them. I hope I do. And you may be like me, and I love pizza. Anybody else love or something else good that you shouldn't eat I probably should. I don't want to judge, but we could say, I really love your top. I love your hat. We use that word. It's so many things that it can become confusing. So I want to look today at what I have come to understand in my spiritual practice. I'm not pulling this from any one place. This is something that I have discerned in my own spiritual life. It's something I use and I have for years. And I call it 5 movements of love. 5 ways that I express love, I experience love, and I encounter love. When we say 1 through 5, most of us line it up. This is the top and this is the bottom. This is better, this is not. I'm asking you to let that go and see it in a circle. And so however we talk about these, each one is a valid experience and encounter of love. But some of these you may not have thought about. And sometimes people think I am failing miserably because right now there's a lot of sandpaper from my soul out there that is wearing people's faces, and that it's just really hard. And so a lot of people feel like I'm failing and therefore it's not working. Let's reframe that. If you could see it from a broader perspective, I think you'd be encouraged. Don't give up. Love, we're taught, the scriptures ultimately say God is love, and we are made in that image. And through every spiritual or faith tradition, you're going to find love as the central theme, said in different ways. As a matter of fact, the golden rule can be found in every tradition, said in one way or another, and they're very similar ways. If you look at Buddhism from the Dhammapada says, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal truth. If you look at Hinduism from the Bhagavad Gita, when a person responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were their very own, they have attained the highest state of union with the divine. That is love. Sufi Rumi, the great poet, said, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against love. And then if we look at Christianity, which is really being put on the mat when it comes to what does love mean and who is my neighbor, amen? And how do we show up? Well, it's pretty clear. 1 Corinthians 16:4, let all that you do be done in love. I don't hear a lot of wiggle room. Matthew 5:44, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. 1 John 4:8 doesn't mince words. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. And so when we look at all of these things, then we need a way to make it practical. It's like the so what? Yeah, that's great in theory, but how do I live into that? So here we go with the 5. Again, see them as a circle. The first one is that phrase, the type of love that is known as unconditional love. Has that ever baffled you? Have you ever felt like it's just hope, I'm not ever going to live up to unconditional love? Truthfully, a lot of people feel like that, and it's because of how we interpret what that means, unconditional love. Well, when we're talking about these movements of love and what is unconditional love, I'd ask you to consider that unconditional love is how what we call God, all that is, the creative presence, it's what it is what it expresses, it is what it calls all into being, it is that in which we live and move and have our being. And when it comes to unconditional love, we have one job, one primary job, and that is to let it sink in. Because until we have experienced unconditional love, until we really, really have had a quality of love reach us personally that has truly healed any sense of separation within ourselves, we certainly aren't capable of loving everyone else unconditionally if we can't hold that for our own self. Amen? Here's an example. In the Japanese culture, there's a question that says, what is the goal of a teapot? What is the ultimate purpose of a teapot? And so you would say, well, the purpose of a teapot is to make tea. But in the mystical Japanese culture, the purpose of a teapot, a porcelain, porous teapot, is supposed to be used every day, multiple times a day. It is passed from generation to generation. And the purpose of that teapot is to reach a point that it can make tea without needing tea leaves. So how would that happen? Well, if it's a pot and it's porcelain, and over the years, if it has just soaked in tea so long, it literally becomes part of the essence of the vessel. And so it can, over time, reach a point where you can pour hot water in nothing but the pot and pour out a beautiful cup of tea. Now, do you think you can do that forever once it reaches that point? No. You're still going to need to expose it to tea leaves because it needs to absorb it. Think of that analogy when you think of unconditional love. Our goal with unconditional love is to be in that presence, to let it reach us at a cell level, to let it permeate our being, to permeate our essence to such a point we begin to become that very thing. And the only way to become it is to be in its essence, to experience it. So take some pressure off yourself just for this week, because we're practicing radical what? Radical compassion and radical dignity. So I'm not asking you to go out and figure out how to love everybody unconditionally. What I'm asking you here is find ways yourself to experience love that is in the midst of any condition. You see, that's what love means. There's no condition in which it can't be present. It's there in the midst of any and every condition. It's the kind of love that doesn't say, I'll love you if, I'll love you when. It's not a human quality of love. It is an essence of spirit that we're capable of. And so our job is to soak it up, to let it touch you. Because have you ever noticed, has anybody ever just met your true soulmate and at least for 48 hours you were in love? Didn't everybody look better? Wasn't the world better? Everything was better. When we really are like love, the whole world looks better. So spend some time with unconditional love. And so unconditional love is one of those movements that we're meant to experience. The second one then is compassion. Now, compassion is easy for the people that you love, right? Think about the people that you love, that you care about, your family, your children, people that are really important to you. Compassion comes naturally. But the thing for us to know about compassion is we are beings of emotions and impulses. The universe is such an incredible teacher, and it doesn't matter what I'm going to speak on, somehow or another it shows me. And so a few days ago, I walked out into my garage, first thing in the morning, and I heard rustling and a chirp, chirp. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did a bird get in here? And so I immediately opened the garage door. My heart is filled with compassion. I hope it's okay. I open the door and like, okay, wherever you are, go. Chirp. I hear it again, the rustling. And so I go around my car to try to see where it is, but it didn't fly. It ran across the floor. Oh no. So my open heart went, hell no. I ain't sharing my garage with a mouse. Not having a mouse in here, that's not. So what do? I did what any wise woman would do. I got my blower. That little thing went behind some big Rubbermaid boxes, and I'm like, all right, this is all-out war. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And so Bobby, the board president, says, you can call me for anything. I'm like, maybe this is... But I knew she was out of town. I knew Butch would come, but I also knew it would take a while. So I'm like, oh, what if it's a mama mouse? What if it has babies? Oh, my Lord, what if I have an infestation? And so I am just working myself in a tizzy. So I try stomping on the floor and blowing, and I can hear that little eep. All right, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to the store and get some traps. But I'm going to get some humane traps. And so I go in, and I get my purse, and I get my keys, and I come out. I'm kind of scared. I slam the door, and I'm stomping. The garage is still open. I'm hoping that it's left. But no, then I see it. It jumps from one box to the other, and I can see the little face. I'm like, oh, my God, I can't even leave. We have to deal with it now. So I get a broom, and just as I lift the broom, and I'm about as far as from here to here, it jumps and lands on the hood of my car. You can't make this stuff up. And that's when I saw it for the first time. It was not a bird. It was not a mouse. It was a chipmunk. I went, oh, poor baby, did I scare you? I didn't mean to scare you. Oh, look at your little tail. And so now it's on the hood of my car, and I'm thinking, God, I wish I had my camera. Nobody's going to believe this. But I stepped back, and I said, let's work together here. And it jumped right off, and it ran out. Yeah. Well, I had to go lay down. My back was hurting. I was exhausted. And as I was lying on the floor trying to recover, it was not even 8 o'clock yet, and all that had happened in the morning. I'm thinking, wow. Everything I just went through from, oh, a little bird got trapped, to, you're not being in here. I'm armored up. I'm afraid. To like, wow, that's interesting. A bird, a mouse, a chipmunk. And I had been thinking about compassion, and I thought, it's easy to be compassionate when you feel a sense of kindred spirit, when you don't feel threatened, when it's cute. But boy, when you think it's going to create havoc and tear something down, when you think it might jump on you and cause you to have the heebie-jeebie kill yourself fit, I don't know what I would do if the mouse jumped on me. When you're afraid, seriously, when our perception causes us to be afraid, we're human biological beings. We go into fight, flight. It is natural at times for you to get your dander up when you see something happening and somebody is tearing something down, or somebody is hurting somebody, or somebody is hurting a whole group of people. It is very natural for you to say, no, I can't get behind that. But where we get tripped up, we say, but I'm supposed to feel compassionate, so I'm not doing it right, so I'm just going to give up. It's not an either nor, it's a both. One thing Gandhi taught is it's okay to get angry. It's okay to be just outraged at times. The question is, you see, the scriptures say Jesus was often moved with compassion. And so when we find ourselves in this, like, well, it's not so easy to be compassionate in this part. So we know there's unconditional love that we can access and call it into our life. We know what it feels like to be compassionate, and we can do our best to expand our circles of compassion. That could be me. By the grace of God, that could be me. The next one is non-judgment. This is just as valid of a movement and experience of love as is compassion, as is non-judgment. You see, it begins to be a little, when you can't feel one of those others, perhaps you can hold a space of non-judgment. Now, it doesn't mean that you toss discernment out the window. We're talking about really two different things here, if you will. When we're talking about withholding judgment, you see, when we judge someone, we say, oh, I know they're doing that because blah, blah, blah. I know they're like that because blah, blah, blah. We've labeled them. We've said we know what it is. End of discussion. When we judge, we tend to also mix the person with the actions. They're one and the same, and we begin to hate them as much as we hate the actions, right? It's really true. It gets tricky here when we do that. But judge not, it does not mean being blind to wrongdoing. It does not mean excusing harmful behavior or actions. It does not mean that you forego discernment. It doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean that you can't hold people accountable and work for change and work for justice. But it means we learn to hold people accountable and continue to hold them in the light. And so one of the practices we can do is to begin to, how can I step out of judgment here? I still can have these feelings. It doesn't mean I'm not holding them accountable, but how can I stay open? Because the minute we completely close down, it's basically over. It's about staying open. So there is unconditional love. There's compassion that we can experience. There's non-judgment. The fourth one is do no harm. You see, you may find yourself for the life of you, something has got you triggered. It's got you riled up. It really is, you feel like it's bad. And so you're not in that moment able to access what feels like a different quality of love. But can you do this? Can you do no harm? Do you realize when you commit to do no harm that that is a very loving thing to do? Because the things that we do are important, but also the things that we refuse to do. When we say, I'm not going to cross that line. To do no harm also means the willingness to go back when I realize I did fly off. I did let you have it. When I realize that, it's the courage and the humility to go back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I don't agree. I see it differently, but I was disrespectful. And I truly apologize for that. Can you imagine how things in relationships would begin to shift? And I'm asking you just 1 week, 7 days, practice it and see what happens. Unconditional love, compassion, non-judgment, do no harm, and then the final one is tend to where it hurts. Tending to where it hurts. If we have been deeply hurt, a mother and father whose child has just been abducted, do you think they are in a state to extend a lot of love to anybody in that moment? No. They are broken. They are hurting. They need to tend to where it hurts. That is not self-indulgent. There's a difference. In the scriptures, Jesus often came apart by himself. He spent time with those that were close to him that would help nurture him. We all need ways to tend to where it hurts, especially in times like this when we are seeing things play out that are potentially very hurtful. And so tending to where it hurts in ourselves is incredibly important. And another aspect of that is when you see someone else hurting, perhaps you extend a hand and say, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to support you? Unconditional love, compassion, withholding judgment, do no harm, and tend to where it hurts. Can you see how each of these are love in expression? And can you see how you can plug in most any time to at least one of those? So a couple of more things. Band, if you want to come up, we're going to show a video. But we have, in addition to this week of practicing radical compassion, and radical dignity. Pamela and Charlie Rogers made me aware there's something right now called red cards. Some of you may know about these. We at the church ordered 1,000 of them. And what these cards are is they are constitutional rights, whether you're a citizen or a non-citizen. One side is English and one side is Spanish. If you feel so inclined, I would encourage you, Beth will have them. We've got 3 baskets. You can put maybe one up here and the other one's in the back. I encourage you to pick up a few, keep them in your car. You don't have to make assumptions, but I've already shared one with a person. I gave her a few, and she stood there and read it, and then she started crying. So these are some things that we can do to show compassion. Again, if it feels appropriate for you to do. If it doesn't, then it's not yours to do. So that's one thing. The second thing is I just really want to encourage us that there is so much from a grassroots level that is rising up at a time when we feel like love is, really being challenged in some ways. There's so many things rising up. I want to show you a very short video from a school this week. This is an elementary school in Indiana. And what they decided to do, this school has about 200 to 250 students. They said, we're going to have a parade of nations. And so if your family's origin is Brazil, we want you to come and represent Brazil. If your family of origin is Ireland, is Italy, is Iraq, is Turkey, wherever it is. Well, when they put that out to that group of people, do you know they had 42 different ethnic groups, different nations to show up? And so with parents and people standing by, isn't that incredible? That was actually Michigan. I said the wrong Michigan. But I just want us to remember that there are people all over that are leaning into love. And so this week, as we practice radical compassion, what it means to you, and I hope to hear some of your stories, radical compassion and radical dignity. And to really open your heart to those 5, you may find more, but unconditional love, compassion, non-judgment, do no harm, and tend to where it hurts. Let's go into a song and a meditative prayer. Lead Me, Love by our friend Amy Steinberg. Lead me, love, lead me on. When I'm weary, make me strong. Lead me, love, help me grow. Lead me, love, lead me home. That same verse, pick it up a little. invite you to close your eyes for just a moment. With your eyes closed, just visualize those children. We just saw some of them. And how each one was celebrated. And how each one had a sense of pride, and something in them was beaming because they were being recognized as who they were and celebrated. When we feel truly seen, when we feel recognized, when we feel that we are celebrated and valued and appreciated and cared for, even when we have the worst days and make the worst mess. When we can really get that there is a love that it's our home signal. There is that love in which we live and move and have our being, and there's nowhere you can turn, there's nowhere you can go, there's no thing you can do, there is no condition in which you can find or place yourself where that love will not be there. And as we take time to go into the silence, perhaps go into nature, to find your own ways of being in communion with that pure love, and feel what it feels like to be loved beyond and through and over. And here's the thing, when we really feel that, something happens. Once love makes its way into our porcelain cells, into our being, once love begins to move within us, it activates love. It literally causes us to want to be love, to want to be more loving, to want to be more lovable, love-able, love-abled. It begins to happen naturally. As we feel that, as we're made of that, that's what we begin to pour out. It's the essence, the flavor, the vibration. It's not just an idea. It is a literal energy, a vibration that lifts us, that seeks to add value, to create and not destroy, to include and not exclude, to uplift and not oppress. It inspires us to be champions for one another and the best that we can be. And so we allow that love to reach us, to move us. We realize that as part of our human experience, we're not always going to feel warm and fuzzy and like what we're dealing with or even who we're dealing with. And that's when we do our best to withhold judgment and do no harm. And here you stand as a powerful presence of love. And then we take time to say, where does it hurt? Where does it hurt in me? Where is there longing? Where is there anything that is standing in the way of love? And then we offer that prayer of love. Lead me, love, lead me on. Verse 2. I am ready, I am strong. Lead me, love, watch me grow. Lead me, love.
me an ohm.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Beautiful. Radical compassion, radical dignity, and not so many mouse moments. And so it is. You may be seated. Thank you. We're going to ask our prayer chaplain to come forward and our ushers to come forward. And just a reminder that after service, is hospitality inside or outside today?
Inside.
Inside, okay. So it'll be back in our youth area. We encourage you to come back, and if you'd like to grab some coffee or tea or some refreshments, please do so. And I encourage you to see Reverend Marty and just let her know how much we cherish and love and appreciate her. Michael is holding this wooden prayer box. It stays under that tapestry. It's a place you can leave a confidential prayer request that we will hold in prayer for you. And then our ushers today, Michael and Ellen, are the ones that remind us that we are the ones that sustain this ministry. And so we ask each person to do what you can. And if this is something of value to you, and when we do what we can, it works. And we appreciate your doing that. And so we affirm these gifts and these blessings. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I am now in perfect balance and flow with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God, and so it is. Mary Kay.
Just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know, that's real. Right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long as you let your heart decide. Ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know is real. Whether right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long as you let your heart decide. Ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? What would love do now? What would love do now? What would love do now?
What would love do now? Well, you have at least 5 choices, hopefully, for what love would do now. Would you please stand? We're going to bring this to close with the song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and let it begin with this love in our heart. And then please do join us and Reverend Marty for hospitality.
Let 7 days.